recording, starting the stream. And hello everyone, this is OotiniCast episode 379, being recorded on January 14th, 2020. And this is going to be the raw version of the show, with any flubs or errors or whatevers. And then this will be edited and put out as a podcast tomorrow. Also, the raw version will not only be on the stream, but it will also be on YouTube shortly after the episode concludes. And Doc is not going to be using his camera today, so it's just going to be me as far as cameras go. And we're going to go from here. So let me go ahead and get the tweet out. Doc needs a little bit of time to get his show notes ready, kind of polished up, and I'm going to also, like I say, get this tweeted out and everything. So there'll be a couple of minutes before we actually get the show going.
Yep. But hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great Tuesday.
Yeah. All right. Your typewriter sounds extra loud today.
I have clicky keys for this keyboard. It's one of those backlit ones. I used to have a much quieter, boring keyboard years ago. And so I'm choosing style and loud over stealthy.
Okay. Sounds louder than usual, though. Is there a reason for that?
Maybe the dark side is coursing through my veins. I don't know.
All right. Let's see. Then let me also get into Twitch chat. Okay, looks good. Everything's set up.
Why do I not remember the name of the final boss in Duxon? Is it the...
Oh, I can't remember.
Is it the Elite Vanguard or... Apex Vanguard, that's what it is.
There we go.
Got it.
Nice. We'll probably need to do some chatting after the show as well.
Yep, I'm planning for that.
Cool.
I'm trying to think what else I did. That might be it. Oh. Yeah, one other thing.
Nice.
Uh.
Yeah, the Pilgrim's semi-tough on Nightmare.
Well, that's right. I shouldn't abbreviate that. That changes the meaning. This one is actually spelled out. The Nightmare Pilgrim. Okay. I don't have a mind trap because I could not figure out anything for that this week.
That's fine.
I think it's probably because it feels like the news is slow, so I'm not focusing on.
There's not a lot of little drops coming through to spark things. Yeah, I agree. And there's not a ton of news today anyway, so this is likely to be a pretty short show. We can definitely vamp a bit if there's something you want to vamp on.
Well, I don't know on the show if we've talked much about the Mandalorian ending. So, or did we?
We
did that fit in after Rise of Skywalker?
We did touch on it. We didn't talk a lot about it. If there's a few more things you wanted to say about it, that's fine.
No, but I'm sure the movies and the shows and things can give us a little bit to talk about. Because I have some strange thoughts that probably make no sense to anybody else that I probably should just throw into the galaxy and see what happens.
Sounds good. All right. Are you about ready to go then?
Yeah, I think we can go.
All right. Let me have a little water and I'll... Okay, going in 5. Hi, and welcome to the OotiniCast. We were conscripted as kids, all of us. This is episode 379, being recorded on Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. I'm your host, Chill, and with me is my co-host, Dr SWTOR. Hey, Doc.
Hey, Chill, let's get to burn phase and make an episode.
Awesome. No guest today. However, we are working on a very special guest for next time. Exactly how it's going to work out, we will announce when it is ready. But yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's a little quiet today, and also the news is pretty quiet today, so we're going to just see how things go. So, Doc, what you been up to since the last show?
Well, first, Chill, I love the mystery box that we're building.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Very JJ.
Yeah, if we give them a MacGuffin or two and make them travel to places they've never been for seemingly no reason, this could become a Star Wars thing. So,
all right.
In game, I've had a lot of really neat things happen that you don't really expect just from regular logging in. So the first one is, for people who have been listening, I've been trying my very best to get my Sorcerer, Lightning, Parse, and Rotation, and new set bonus, and all of that came with 6.0 in a place that I'm comfortable with.
Nice.
And so each of the areas, or each of the eras of the game since I started playing Operations, what I do with that is I start with the small dummy, and then once I can consistently hit a number that I feel is my goal, then I start working on the larger dummy, because the way I look at it, if I'm not happy with what I can do in 30 seconds or 1 minute or whatever, then I'm not ready to be working on the 5 or 6 minute one. So that's where I've been at since the end of October when we got 6.0. I've been gearing up. I've been working on my augments and working on my amplifiers and getting the right relics, which is a random thing because you really don't control which relic you get at all.
Yeah.
You play a lot and then you get fed up and you use your they're not tokens, you use the fragments, the tech fragments. And so I got to a place that I think I'm right where I should be in terms of my stat totals.
Oh, good.
So I was just on my ship. I was ready to log off, but I usually parse a few times before I log off. Just every time. It's part of my habits. And we had a reset when they updated a little bit of the things affecting parsing, where the guild bonus for alacrity turns off on your ship, which means just like it does in a master mode operation and ranked PvP. So what that means is the parses that are being uploaded to the leaderboard on Parsley no longer have half of the people getting this massive alacrity boost and skewing the data. So I decided to just look at where that was, and I realized I've beaten that before I had the alacrity bonus on my tune. So I did it, and then I did it, and then I did it, and a couple times into it, I cleared it on the tiny kind of burn rotation dummy for Lightning Sork. So I finally hit the top of a leaderboard.
Wow.
Now, that being said, people are going to hear this and think, well, he's a noob. We can't let that stand. And they'll go beat me. It's kind of like having a championship belt in the WWE. Like, someone's going to pin you or make you tap out. So I don't have any aspersions that I'll have it forever. But it was just a cool thing. I have the screenshot. I have the little badge at the top that says Sork rank 1 because I beat the Madness parses too. And so that was a cool thing. I never thought I'd actually do it, but I did it. And then our Thursday team, which is doing prog on nature of progress, the Duxing operation.
Mm-hmm.
We broke through. We beat the Cephas Rangers, as I call them. I really don't know their official name, and we beat the Huntmaster, I think is his name, the fourth boss.
Okay.
So now we're working on the Apex Vanguard on veteran mode. So that's a fun development. We got there a little bit faster than I thought because I didn't think that we would get through both of those bosses in the same evening, but we did.
Mm-hmm.
And then my Sunday group, Death Star Troopers with Marcus, we cleared veteran mode explosive conflict on Sunday.
Nice.
So we're going to be doing veteran mode Dread Fortress on Sundays until we beat that, and then we get to go to Temple of Sacrifice, which I'm really excited about because I've never cleared veteran mode Temple of Sacrifice. And
Yeah,
I
that's a
finally
hard
got
one.
my first kill on a Nightmare Pilgrim run. I just happened to have some free time, and it didn't go too well for me. I killed myself by DPSing the wrong thing.
Yeah,
But
there's that. It's tricky. Mm-hmm.
I left my corpse on the ground while the rest of the boss or the rest of the group cleared the boss. So
Right.
I got
Yeah.
credit. I got credit for one, so I need to do that 2 more times, and I'll finally have that pesky mount
The mount.
mission out of my log. Yeah. So that's a big thing. Anytime, you get how many missions? 25, but if you have 4 of them that are like these permanent
Yeah.
accomplishment based ones, then it's really like your mission log is
20.
only goes up to 20 or
Yeah,
21.
21. Yep.
So big deal. So
Can I ask you
that's
something? Sure.
Yeah.
And can I ask you about something about the Duxon operation?
Yeah.
So it's Zerka based, and so you're going through the harder mode right now, and so that means you've done the story mode.
Yeah.
Is there any story that connects to other stories in the game, or is it sort of its own thing?
There are 2 officials on Onderon that give you the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And when you clear story mode, you have one of the more amusing conversations with them in the
Okay.
aftermath. And so if you haven't seen that conversation, I found it hilarious, and maybe that's just my dry humor that really connected with it.
Okay.
But the story of the op is really cool. It's kind of like a Jurassic Park vibe because it is in a
Everything
jungle.
got out of hand. Yeah.
You go in the facility, it's in shambles, there's Trandoshans everywhere. There are monsters and there's droids that are trying to kill you because I guess their emergency protocols stipulate that bipedal beings should not be wandering around a derelict facility.
Right.
And the boss variety is really cool. The final boss has a science lab kind of setup to it, and it's a really smart fight. You have to kind of understand what the story of that fight is in order to be able to clear it, and you do that by listening to the dialogue that's playing during the fight.
Okay.
And it's really cool. Chill. I mean, story mode, it demands things from your group, definitely.
Nice.
It goes a little bit beyond just tanks hold threat, healers heal, DPS. You have
Right.
to learn the fights, but there are things about story mode that are super forgiving compared to veteran mode, and so that makes every fight really approachable for
Right.
newcomers.
That's cool. Would you
Yeah.
say though that the story of Duxon is sort of self-contained, or does it, like I say, does it connect to Onslaught in other ways other than the person giving you the mission, sending you off?
Just like a lot of the operations, it's an offshoot of the main story.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get to see it and experience it, it makes the expansion feel more complete. But
Cool.
I don't. It's not like Dread Fortress and Dread Palace where the story is left hanging if you don't do the operations.
Right. Okay.
Right. So it is a little. I mean, it's on a different planet. It's off to the side.
Okay.
So
That's good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Ah,
what have you been up to, Chill, and who's with us today?
yeah, let's see. So, Dekevster's here, Dekion, our guild leader's here, Quercus, Siskayetka, Sledgestor, Squishy Twitchy, and Swordmaster are all here. And so, hey everyone, thanks for coming today. I kept on leveling up, getting people up to 75 and so on, and getting them through their various stories. Let's see. So I did find out if you have treasure hunting, you can send Koth Fortina out on a level 11 mission that's called How Not to Fly, which I thought was appropriate. So I'm going to send him out on that one every time because I find that hilarious. I got my Lara Croft character through all of her stories, so she's done now. She's all the way caught up through Onslaught. I got my Gwenpool character. She's now second half of Coffee, so she has her alliance, and she's I think we did chapter 13. Profit and Plunder was the last one we did, and so we're most of the way through Coffee. I have a little bit more of that, and then all of Kotet. Let's see. I did see that when she got her alliance, there T7 you get back really early, and then like everyone else you just don't get back, at least not right away. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly all the others come. I kind of know where some of them are. I know where Doc comes back, for instance, and stuff like that. But yeah, so it definitely other than T7 comes back pretty late. I am kind of paying more attention to the different classes now as I play them, because I'm finding that I have been sticking with the Assassin and Shadow mirror classes as my main in this expansion. And so far it's like, as I level these other characters and sort of pay attention to how I feel about, their utility and their damage and all that sort of thing, that it's sort of confirming that yes, for me I have the right classes that go with my gaming style and personality and all that. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I like, for instance, like when I was on the Sentinel Gwenpool, I'm noticing that I'm having to deal with focus all the time because there's only 12 points of focus, and it always feels like I'm either running out or having or I'm already full, and then I sometimes hit one of the focus building abilities anyway, just because it's off of cooldown. And yeah, it's like, to me, it bothers me.
Yeah.
And despite the fact that I like certain other things about their class, I love the Blade Blitz, where you get to dash forward, and it's not targeted. You can just kind of aim your body forward, and you just kind of get to dash forward. That's really cool. And I like certain other things about it, but dealing with the focus all the time is making me realize, okay, this is not the class for me, and little stuff like that. It's kind of nice to feel like finally I can settle into having an actual main, which is cool. I've also been working on my Deadpool cosplay character. He's a smuggler, and he just finished the smuggler class story, so he's about to start Ilum, and that was a lot of fun, actually. Mostly dark side, and then some sort of light, depending on sort of the situation. So I've just been enjoying just kind of grinding through stories again, and getting these levels up, and getting people to 700. I think I've got all the crafting to 700 now, except for armor mech, and I'm not sure what to do about that. I have some heavy armor characters that I could level from 70 to 75. I don't know if I would have to start over with them on crafting. I would if I did like Dr. Doom, for instance, or do I want to just start a new character just to do armor mech? I don't know, but I think I'm going to worry about that a little bit later. I've been doing an awful lot of grinding of multiple characters at once, and it's like, okay, I think I'm good on this for a while. Maybe we can do some end game stuff, or some PvP or something. And
if you had armor mech, what would you be able to do that you can't do right now in your crafting?
I'm not sure exactly what real benefit it would bring. I think they do. I can't remember which augment they do, but it might be the alacrity one, because I don't think I've seen that one yet. I'd have to look it up. I think there's an alacrity, and then you get to make the armorings. One thing I might do, if I do level it up a character from 1 to 75, I probably would try it without like using the dark versus light XP boost and try like leveling more slowly, because that would also give me an excuse to actually craft things along the way, which would be kind of nice. That I think I might enjoy that to some degree. And but yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just kind of saying, hey, I've got all of them at 700.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
So it's just checking off the box.
Kind of, yeah. That's a big part of it, especially since I'm so close. I've got the cybertech, the synth weaving, the biochem, the artifice, and now Deadpool's and arms tech. So I just need that armor mech, and I'll be good.
Yeah, you're so close. You might as well finish it off.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I have one too that's kind of behind, but for me, I don't play that tune very much, so I guess it's kind of the same thing where you're questioning whether you should just log in and play that one, but you'd rather do something else.
Right. All right, I think that's time to go then to the tip of the week. And we have a couple of tips this time. We do have an updated tip from Scott. Last show, we had a tip, but it didn't quite work. I got with him, and he sort of explained more about like how he makes it work and so on. So we're going to go through that and include it here. So the tip was basically about how if you were active at a certain point in the game, then you had this you get this box with 4 different crystals in it. Well, one of them is still the War Hero one is still a level 1 crystal. However, you can't use it for that character at level 1 because the box itself is not openable until level 10. So there's no difference there. However, how he makes it work is the crystals are legacy bound. So if you have another character who is already level 10, which presumably you would if you actually have access to this box at all, then what you do is you just make sure that one is unlocked for that character, and then you can make them and send it to the new character at level 1. So you can, in fact, get the War Hero crystal out, make some of them, and then send them to your level 1 character. So that does, in fact, work. And, in fact, it doesn't matter whether it's the one out of the box or whether you make new ones out of collections. It's all good. So that works just fine. And we also have a tip from Sinwolf. And Sinwolf writes, going into the 6.0 release, I spent a lot of tokens on the superior command boosts. My biggest issue was that the item would not stack, so each one takes up inventory or cargo space. I haven't played much with them since the 6.0 release, where they became superior renown boosts, because I haven't seen much importance on obtaining renown just yet, and boy, I haven't either. I just grabbed all of them out of my gunslinger's bay, preparing to adventure, and was stunned, and they stack now. And not sure when this change was made, but I'm about to clean up some more inventory room. Thanks, and happy questing. Yeah, so basically they did make them stackable. So renown boosts are nice and stackable, and boy, is that a help, because yeah, that was a big pain in the butt before that. And how about you, Doc? I have been finding that, maybe when I was like leveling or getting my first character from, the 268 greens to the 306 golds, there's a little bit of, it was nice to have the renown boxes along the way because it was, one more bite at the apple every time, but
yeah.
Renown boxes just aren't that exciting. Even at that point, they weren't great. And now that I have a couple of characters at 306, and I can just make up sets for the next person as soon as they ding 75, I really don't care about renown at this point. There's not a lot of interest in it for me. There's an achievement for getting renown level 100 on each class, but that's not really enough for me to be really excited about that. What do you think?
Well, it takes a couple hours of playing successfully and getting those renown points to even get a box. And the box gives you 1 or 2 pieces of gear. Sometimes it's a random one, and then one that you can see before you claim it. And
and it's usually 1.5. If there's 2 pieces, it's 1.5. It's like a full piece, and then it's like a barrel or
a mod, right?
Yeah, or a mod.
Yeah. So I think the game could use a tweak where there's so much gear anyway. When you get conquest or finish a flashpoint or finish an operation, you get these boxes that open and there's 7 or 8 things in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately, most of it you reverse engineer it so you can get the tech fragments, and that's the value. Also, the crafting materials.
Right.
So, maybe in the future, BioWare can look at changing what those crates are so that we get an excited feeling from opening them. Because usually it is lackluster. You open it, you get, if you're wearing 306 already, the odds that you're randomly going to get a mod that you're looking for, like one that has power that's higher than 355, is so low because there's so many mods, and it seems like the odds of getting a 306 mod are even low because 304 and 305 are in there too.
Absolutely.
So it's tough. It really does. We're used to years and years of the boxes being the game, and now the boxes are just a detail that doesn't matter much. So mentally, we're probably just struggling with that. But I see what BioWare's trying to do, and there's a new end game now, and it would be cool if they met us in the middle, kind of like when they glitched the weekly mission CXP, and it was so great that they made a lesser but official glitch update where the weekly planet sets give you those 8 command crates. So there is precedent for them looking at us saying that something doesn't feel right, and then changing it. It takes a lot longer to get a renown crate than a command crate used to. And so if you're getting one every 15 to 20 minutes and the gear sucks, I think that's a lot different than getting one every 2 or 3 hours and it sucks.
Yeah. I must say, like, I mean, maybe when you're doing operations, that's actually the best way to do it. I wouldn't know because I haven't really touched operations in this expansion yet. But in terms of the solo leveling, or solo gearing up, rather, by far the best way was to have a stealther and go to Red Reaper and just spam that, because you can do it even with low level gear. You get really good amounts of gear because you're getting the box. The bosses each drop multiple pieces, and if you're soloing, it's all for you. And then you get a nice box at the end. There's even a weekly for doing 5 of them. It's so much gear, so much faster than any other way I've seen in the game. And so take a stealth character and doing that seems to be, to me, the fastest way to get from 268 to 306, as far as I know. How about you? Were you able to find something else that was faster than that, or was grinding operations a very quick way to do it?
No, I wouldn't say. I would say flashpoints are probably the best way to go. But what I did is I would build 306 sets out of the drops of me just playing my main character.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm talking about your first character, though.
So the first character, I think completing any of the weekly group content things is where you get your biggest boost. So each flashpoint you complete is valuable, but you get a much better box from the weekly veteran mode and the weekly master mode flashpoint mission.
Yeah.
And so you just have to play content, and it is actually a really nice system. If you focus on playing for a few days, you can push a tune from 270 to 306. You just have to understand how the system works and then manipulate it by doing Hammer Station and Red Reaper.
Right.
Which is not the most fun thing to do, but if the gear rating is your goal, there you go.
Yeah. And very important also, like, whenever you have just 1 or 2 pieces that are slightly below everything else, to get back to the fleet and use that random thing and get whatever your lowest is, get it up. Get it up, because that's how the game starts to give you the next level of gear. It always looks at whatever you have that's lowest, and it's going to base it all on that. So you can have, like, it's all 306 gear, but you accidentally left one piece, as something lower, and it will just take that and it'll say, oh, okay, you don't have any 306 gear, you're just based on 274 or whatever you have, and you're just gonna get greens or whatever that lowest piece is. You're just gonna get all that until that one's all the way up too. So it's and you're not just gonna get it for that slot either. You're gonna get random slots too. So it takes forever. So yeah, definitely use that random thing on the vendor on the fleet to get things up for that first character. So. All right, so congratulations to Scott. You're the random winner of the prize, and you've won either a Tonfon or M83R droid pet code, or there's now a third code that we can give away, the M2B9 droid code. And because I asked the devs about it, and they sent me some, and he actually didn't say which droid it was, just that it was a new astromech droid. And so I actually unlocked one on my own just because I wanted to know what the name was so I could add it to the show notes and see what it looked like. And it's a little purple and silver and I think pink and red, but mostly purple astromech droid. And I had not had that one, which was interesting because we've got a bunch of astromechs, but not this one. And so he'll be able to choose a Tonfon, M83R, or M2B9 droid code, courtesy of BioWare, and a new OotiniCast provided Cartel Market pack from the latest shipment. If you'd like a chance to win the same, please send your tips to OotiniCast@gmail.com before the next show. And there is not a Jedi Mind Trap this week, so we're going to move on to the Holo feed. Just a little bit of news. We're still in sort of a little bit of a quiet period. Things are going to start ramping up, we know, from what the devs have said. Sometime in the next few weeks, probably right before the next show, which would be great. Looking forward to that. They did announce a couple of the events that are upcoming. Pirate Incursion on Dantooine is actually starting today. It will go through the 21st. And Relics of the Gree will be returning. That'll be January 28th through February 4th. And then there is apparently the turret mission is still bugged. Eric was looking at determining whether it had been fixed, but then he made a correction that this is not fixed for this week's event. So that one is still bugged, but Dantooine is live, so that's going on. Then Eric did give a little bit of a slightly more meaty announcement today. Not really an announcement, but just he just calls it some update on what's next is needed. In other words, he's kind of like letting us know, where we are sort of in the news cycle. And Eric writes, hey folks, first off, Happy New Year. We know that with the New Year, that means questions of what's next. And so let me try to add some clarity to things. What's next? In case you missed our last live stream, and we did talk about this, but it's kind of good because this is a change. Our last live stream in December, or didn't get a chance to check it out on the PTS, Game 6.1 is the next thing on the horizon, and it is slated for a February release. And so that's going to be the Alderaan Stronghold. That update contains our next story beat about the size of Hearts and Minds. So Hearts and Minds, you might remember, is relatively short. There was at least that one was no fighting involved. I don't know if that doesn't necessarily mean there's no fighting in this story beat. But there's basically like a pretty good long conversation that sort of wrapped up where your alliance was after Onslaught. You dismiss them, then you talk, you talk, and then there's like this chance to do like an interview, and then you go do the interview. And then you follow up. And if you're a traitor, you get to be a traitor, or a saboteur, you get to be a saboteur. And if you're someone who's actively helping your side, you can help your side. Let's see. So anyway, so it's going to be about the size of that, and the new Alderaan Stronghold, which was really cool. I liked checking that out on the PTS, and we talked about that on the last show. Many of you have already shared your thoughts on the Stronghold. We're hoping to have the PTS back up later this week with some new changes to check out. So that'll be. I might actually do that actually. One other quick note about 6.1 is the usage of 0.1 in the game update. In the past, we've been pretty inconsistent about our game update numbering, and so we wanted to clean that up. This started at 6.0, but going forward, any 6.x update will only increment if there is some story contained in the update. If there is no story, then it will increment by 6.x.x. For example, after 6.1, if the next update contains story, it will be 6.2. If it does not have story, it will be 6.1.1. Which is kind of cool. I appreciate that. From now on, we'll know at a glance, is this some other kind of update, or is it a story update? So I do think that they just sort of like, they just chose them basically how big they were. Like if there's only a few changes, whether there's story or not, if there's only a few changes, they would usually use that .x business. And if it was a little bigger or there's something new, kind of new to the game, they would usually bump it up to 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, and that sort of thing. But now we know it's actually going to mean something more specific than that. Eric continues, we talked about this last year but just as a reminder, we've moved away from the big form roadmaps that we used to post. Instead, we try to lean more on updates via the PTS, posts, live streams, and blogs. So you should expect to see more about what is beyond 6.1 as we get closer to or beyond its launch. With that said, that doesn't mean that Keith will stop swinging in to give you some longer-term updates. I would expect before the end of January to see Keith in the forums to give you a bit of a welcome to 2020, which will likely contain some hints at what we are looking on doing this year. I can tell you the team's really excited about what's coming in 2020, and we are already planning around things for next year, our 10-year anniversary and beyond. Thanks, everyone, Eric. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so obviously this is way too early for them to be talking about the next expansion. That is not going to happen for a while, but it's good to know that they are in fact planning beyond this year. So that's pretty cool because we're already still very early in this year. There's a lot to do for this year, and then they're already starting to look at next year, which would be the 10-year anniversary. That's pretty cool.
Well, I think at the Cantina in New York, Chill, when I talked with Keith, I think it was Keith only who went there, but I remember that there is excitement at BioWare about the ideas for the 10-year anniversary of the game. So that's encouraging because that was even before 6.0 went live. So I feel like we're getting some cool stuff even now, and it's really neat that the game continues to evolve and add things. And just with Strongholds, the fact that that's still getting support and development time is it's cool because that's an aesthetic addition. It's not gameplay.
Right. And like I was saying about the Alderaan one, it's kind of nice to have one that's not just tied to the fact that, hey, we're working on a new planet, therefore the Stronghold's going to be on that planet because we're already working in this, set of looks, and, we've already got people working in this area, so let's make a Stronghold too. They're actually going back and actually doing a Stronghold for a planet that existed at launch, which is awesome. I'm really happy with that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and let's see, last in the news, so this is more general Star Wars news. Congratulations to John Williams for breaking his own record for living person with the most Oscar nominations. It's his 52nd Oscar nomination, and that is for the score of Rise of Skywalker, and Williams has 5 Oscars. So congratulations, always exciting. And of course, I think everyone pretty much has agreed that, if it wasn't for John Williams and his score, the movies just wouldn't be the same. They probably wouldn't have had the impact they had, and Star Wars wouldn't be what it is today. I think it's as simple as that, really.
Well, the proof is in that first trailer, Chill, for Star Wars, where it's a strange trailer because there is no soundtrack. It's very silent. The special effects and the blaster sounds are not finalized. And it just lets you see what A New Hope could have ended up being if John Williams didn't turn it into the thing that's still exciting today, that we watch all the time.
Right. And just for trivia, the most nominated person of all time is Walt Disney, who had 59 nominations, which is pretty cool. So 52 is right on Walt Disney's heels. That's pretty amazing. I mean, John Williams is getting up there. I don't know. Probably he'll work until he's forced not to by health, I suppose. But that's or maybe he'll retire. I don't know. But he's only seven away from Walt Disney. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, he won for Jaws. I can't remember. I didn't actually look up all the ones that he won for, but yeah, he obviously has a lot of great work behind him. Rise of Skywalker in general. So beyond the score, Rise of Skywalker got the score nomination. It also got nominations for Best Visual Effects and Best Sound Editing. Kind of standard for a Star Wars movie. They get a lot of visual effects and sound editing nominations and Oscars. So congratulations to them on that, though. It's you almost get like so used to it because Star Wars movies have been so good for so long. But yeah, the visual effects were amazing. I really liked a lot of their choices with it. Like the whole Sith area was really cool and atmospheric, and the giant waves were really cool. There's a lot of really neat stuff in the movie in terms of its looks and sound editing. The whole Ben Burtt legacy lives on. It's awesome. So.
I have a dream, and it's a dream that I don't really think will happen for SWTOR, in SWTOR actually, in the story, because it feels like it would be too crazy awesome. So it's like Wall of Crazy.
Okay.
And if you have not finished 6.0 and had the conversation with the person who tries to take you out on Mech Shah, then maybe fast forward 2 minutes in the podcast, because I don't want to deprive you of experiencing that conversation. It occurs after you finish the Corellia flashpoint, which is the end of the story, or 6.0 Onslaught.
Right.
But I think it would be really cool for us to track down Satele Shan or Tenebris, or whatever form this problematic entity is. I think that showdown should happen on Exegol.
That would be cool. Yeah. Is Exegol related? Is it over in the same part of the galaxy as Dromund Kaas and Korriban? I don't know.
Well, I think that it actually ties to Knights of the Old Republic and how Revan went into the Outer Rim, the unknown regions of space, and came back brainwashed as a powerful Sith Lord.
Right.
I actually think that the movies have filled in missing information related to that. And if you have the visual dictionary, which I don't yet, but I know that the legions in the Final Order's fleet are named after historical and important Sith. And Revan is the name of one of those legions. And this is something that happened in a Star Wars film. So that's funny, because when I play SWTOR, and Chill, you probably have thought about this, and you might have a different take. I think that we project into Revan our own mental version of Revan. I watch the Shadow of Revan expansion, and I see the dark side obsessed, revenge focused physical presence of Revan as not being the authentic Revan. I view the ghost that's guiding you as the authentic Revan, and you're reunifying them from that direction. But the Sith but Palpatine naming one of his legions after Revan indicates the Sith view it very differently, that the authentic Revan is the revenge-seeking, all-powerful Revan, and the ghost Jedi side Revan is the unfortunate afterthought. So it's like both sides of this religious quarrel have appropriated Revan as their own Old Republic savior or poster boy. I just think that so I told you before we turned record on that I have really weird thoughts that I'm sure everyone on the internet will say Dr. SWTOR's ideas are so terrible, but they're my ideas and they just hit me for no reason randomly throughout the day ever since I saw episode 9. And I can't stop it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense that you when you have a character who was on both sides at different parts of his life and career and so on, and sort of famously rode the line even when he wasn't specifically on one side or the other, that both sides would end up taking what they want from it, because they both sides discard the rest. So yeah, right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, I'm validated.
No, that totally makes sense to me. And I'm hoping to find out more. I think it'll be interesting to see what else comes out of this. So, and you said you had some things to say about The Mandalorian.
Well, I just know that we went really long on last episode, and it was mostly about Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoyed the end of The Mandalorian, which we haven't had a non-Rise of Skywalker episode since Mandalorian ended too. And right. It's just so awesome how his little party of like his group, his Flashpoint group, you have Cara Dune, you have IG-11, you have Baby Yoda, you have Apollo Creed, and you have the Mando as like the raid leader,
right?
And the way they all just gelled into this awesome, perfect season 1 ending story, I just thought it was really awesome, and I didn't know if we explored that, but I just wanted to remind everyone that happened within the last 30 days too, and it's just so great the time we're in with all the new Star Wars. And I've actually been weighing whether I want to purchase as a digital comic or if I want to try to hunt down the Rise of Kylo Ren issues of comics, because I think that's right up my alley of things I'd really enjoy for 10 minutes at a time. But I haven't made a decision on buying them through an app and just owning them that way.
Right.
So,
yeah.
You do comics at all, Chill?
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Yeah.
I haven't. When I was a kid, I had read some, but yeah, I haven't read any Star Wars ones for the most part. I've read little bits and pieces that people have thrown up here and there, but I haven't actually like read cover to cover or anything like that. There was some talk. I remember at the time when the movie opened, and then The Mandalorian had sort of like bumped up its episode to be a couple of days before the opening of Rise of Skywalker. And there was some speculation like after that happened that, that's to help, because to help bring out the idea of, I guess we're getting into spoiler territory here, so there's a warning.
Warning.
The idea of force healing, because he uses it in that last episode. Baby Yoda does, and then, of course, it plays a pretty big role in Rise of Skywalker. I suppose that's possible. It's interesting because it's like it makes things a little clunky because, of course, like Anakin Skywalker was obsessed with trying to figure out a way to keep people to keep his wife from dying, and yet, without any training, Baby Yoda has the ability to heal, and without any specific, at least healing training, as far as I know, Rey is able to as well. So it's like, is this like an uncommon force power that all of a sudden two people have, or obviously, I do believe though that like, despite what the Palpatine says, it's like you're not going to learn healing directly from the Sith. I don't think that's really the way you would get force healing, but at least in that way, it's more. I think it really would be like we were saying, and you were saying in the last episode, where it's more about force draining or life essence draining, that sort of thing.
I have a really unpopular opinion that I'm going to share, and if you can see the show notes, Chill, you'll already see that I put an image in the force feedback for us. I have now in my headcanon this idea that Anakin would have died on Mustafar. I think the Emperor kept him alive enough to operate on him, but it's like, I'm not giving you all my life essence and dying like your future grandson, but I'll make sure I can keep you alive and turn you into my robotic slave for the rest of your life. Because you have some people to cut down with that lightsaber that you're going to build. So I now believe that the first Force heal was actually at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Interesting.
Because,
so when Palpatine's sort of hovering over him, you think he's actually quietly giving him a bit of life essence there.
Look at his left hand, Chill. It's hovering over his face. It's not at waist position like his right hand. And I don't know if that's just the one moment of compassion. Like, I really do think about Anakin as my son and he's dying, and that's just sad for me. Or the dark side of the Force is a pathway to me healing him and not letting him die here. But, like, I'm not going to age myself another 30 years just to make this guy look pretty. The other thing, too, is Rey heals Ben's scar off of his face. So it's not just the present damage, it's retroactive damage healing. Like, the presence of being damaged was healed off of Ben by Rey. So I feel like the heals in episode 9 are way more powerful than anything we even do in video games. And they have implications across the entire saga. Like, Obi-Wan is such a jerk now for walking away from Anakin. I'm just kidding. Like, obviously, they're on other sides of the good guy, bad guy problem at that point. But, you know, there's so many things in Star Wars where a Force heal would have been nice, but it's like, no, we don't really do that at this period of time. We don't teach that one in class.
Okay, so it was like an optional class, you know. It's an elective.
Yeah, it's an elective, and it fell out of
favor.
Trend.
Yeah. You know? So they just quietly dropped it.
Okay, so what if Yoda and Mace Windu are just all about like kill to death ratios, and they're like, we can't teach you healing because if you follow the dark side, now our enemies can heal and we don't get to kill as many enemies in the battle. So like they deliberately nerfed healing in the prequel trilogy so that the Jedi could look more awesome on the battlefield.
Maybe so. I don't know.
See, it's just weird, like adding in healing that late in the story and then how that ripples with pain and suffering,
right?
Especially when your most main character is a person who is defined by his pain and suffering. And like Palpatine probably could have healed like one limb at a time just every 3 months and been okay.
Right, without dying himself.
So now it's a deliberate decision to let Anakin be so messed up.
Right, because maybe he foresaw how powerful he was going to be, and he didn't. I mean, it's the way of the Sith to kill their masters and overcome them, but he was hoping to be like the last Sith, and to become truly immortal, and continue on forever. Which in that case, you don't really want. You don't really want your apprentice to be as powerful as you ever. So right. Yeah, you could see, and also you could see leaving in some problems would be very beneficial to him.
I think also it kind of works like jumping your car battery. You can't jump yourself, right? You can't heal yourself. Someone else has to heal you because the way Ray describes it in that one sentence, she's transferring her life or her health into another.
Right.
You can't transfer your life into yourself, because that doesn't seem logical. But then again,
or it would cause as many problems as it solves, or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good way to define this entire conversation, Chill. I hope everyone's enjoying this. Like, my brain won't stop, and it just keeps causing these logical loops that I don't really know how to deal with, so I'm sharing them on OotiniCast.
Excellent. All right, is there anything else then?
No, it's just Obi-Wan. You could have healed him.
All right, then.
I hope that's addressed in Kenobi on Disney Plus.
Hey, they could.
I chose not to heal that jerk because he killed all of my favorite younglings. Oh, wait, that sounds terrible. Obi-Wan did not have any fond feelings for younglings.
Okay.
That was not said on OotiniCast.
All right, then that's the show. If you'd like to play with us in the Utini Knights Guild on the Republic side of the Satil Shan server, or in our Guild on the Empire side, do a /c join Utini to join the Utini channel. Then let us know you're a fan of the show. You can email questions and comments about the show to utinicast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter using @utinicast. You can find contact details for all of us on our website, utinicast.com, which includes how to subscribe to us using iTunes, Stitcher, and the rest. We record the show live bi-weekly on Tuesdays at noon Pacific. Go to utinicast.com/live to find out how to join in. Our theme song is Doomsday by Jean-Paul Zogby. And thank you to the chat room. And thanks, Doc.
Yeah, of course. Have a nice week, everybody.
Yep. And we're really looking forward to the next show. We have some special guest things coming up, and we'll announce them when we actually have everything nailed down properly. And we'll see you then. Have a good one. All right, stopping the recording.